Da-da! So, is Ascension the new paradise, the new promised land? So I get a lot of questions and I see a lot of videos, people send me videos and such and so, and they're talking to me, you know, Ascension, what is Ascensions and stuff like that. For me, I'll say this right away. I don't subscribe to the Ascension phenomenon, the Ascension, you know, religion, or the Ascension paradigm that wants you to do things so you can ascend to some other place that no one has seen or that no one has talked about. Okay, I think those are simple questions. Before, it used to be when you were a religious person, if you're a religious person, you strive to do things because you want to get to paradise, you want to get to this other place where you'll get everything that you've desired, everything that you've deprived yourself of here and there. All of a sudden you get all of the reward. And with the ascension phenomenon, it's kind of the same. People start telling you that, you know, hey, you climb up dimensions, you will go to a different planet, you'll be able to leave this prison planet thing and ascend to another place that's supposed to be super, where you'll be a god or you'll be this, and all of it's kind of like they transferred everything that people were expecting from paradise, from religion. They transfer it to Ascension, saying, you know, do those different things, work on yourself, rise your vibration so you can escape and go to this other place where things are supposed to be perfect, where you'll be safe and blah blah blah. To me, it's kind of equating the same. When you ask people, the religious people, have you been to heaven or have you been to paradise? No, they haven't been it because they're still right here with us. They're also working on their way to get there. Whether they're priest, they're a religious figure, or even the saint. Everyone is working on themselves to try to get there, and they're doing things or avoiding to do certain things because they want to get to heaven. Well, to me, I look at Ascension and how people are talking about it, the people who are discussing that and saying, you know, 10 steps to get to Ascension. And it's kind of similar. You ask them, you know, have you ascended? Are you back from ascending? And all of them will say, no, this is something they got from meditation, or this is something that they channel. This is information that was given to them from certain spirits. And I say, well, those spirits, if that place is so great, why aren't they staying there? Why are they trying to come here? Why are people trying to possess human being? Why are the quarantine and this thing around the planet, this prison planet, so-called, as some people want to see it? Why is there all that stuff? What is the hype of being here if people, some entities are being quarantined and prevented from coming here? So to me, it doesn't quite match up. It doesn't quite interest me at all because at the end of the day, to me, what I'm doing because there's something intrinsic within myself that pushed me to do that, not because I'm going to get some kind of reward. The reward I'm getting is the feeling that I get when I'm doing what I'm doing here right now. Okay, that's my reward right now. If tomorrow there was no paradise, there was no Assumption, and this was it, I will be fully satisfied of the way I've lived my life. And that's the question that I'm bringing to you. If you're wondering about Ascension and all this different stuff, I'm asking you, would you still be doing what you're doing now if there was no Ascension? If there wasn't any place? What would happen if all of the things that people are saying did not really exist, and that after here, that was it? Would you still be doing the same thing? This is the same question that we talk sometimes to religious people, to say, you know, if there was no paradise, would you still try to be good and do your best? So because that's a fundamental question for me to ask you, to say, you know, do what you do because there's an intrinsic thing that pushes you to do that. Not because you're expecting, you know, your family to look at you a good way or people to look at you a good way. If when you do kindness and you offer kindness and someone smiles back at you, if that makes you feel nothing, if when you are doing your best and you know what's right. Sometimes people talk about programming and all that, but I think deep down inside we all know the difference between good and bad, between what is going to bring you more goodness and things that you're going to serve you, and what is going to cause you more harm or bring hurt to other people or to yourself. We all see that kind of difference, okay? Even if you have you want to take out the words good and bad, you can understand consequences. You can understand positive consequences and negative consequences. Would you do things that are going to bring you negative consequences? Would you do things that are going to bring you positive consequences, even though there won't be this big fat lottery gain or reward at the end to heaven, ascension, whatever thing after that? I think that's a fundamental question that you need to ask yourself. And whether you want to be in a paradigm, because some people, they have that reward within themselves and they are in the framework of a religion, and the religion enables them to, you know, expand themselves and feel good and do what they want to do. Fine. Find what works for you and follow that. But don't come to me comparing things, because I think that ascensions to me equates to paradise. It equates for this thing that you have to strive for. You know, now you have to eat, become a vegan because you want to ascend. Not become a vegan because it's good for your body, or because, you know, you feel better eating that way, or, you know, you just have to ask what's behind what you're doing. Why? What is the motivation? Why are you doing it? So that's why sometimes I see spiritual people who tend to bash religious people. To me, I don't bash anybody, because each path is different. Each path requires different things. A religious path may be something perfect for someone and maybe something horrible for someone else. So there's no bashing the path. You know, you just have to observe what the person is doing, what the motivation of the person. If the person is being negative towards you, whatever it is, that's how you assess it. You don't assess it by saying, you know, because this thing, I got out of religion and the religion wasn't working for me. It doesn't mean it doesn't work for anybody, for everybody. There are people who are in religion that are just as clear, that are just awake as everyone else, that are committed to their relationship, that are doing good, that are doing well. Okay? There's just other people that it's not working for them, and they find different things. That's why you have so many different religions, so many spiritual paths available, because there's 7 billion of us. So there's a lot of alternatives. But for me, that reward of saying, you know, you're going to ascend, you have to do this and that, to me end up being a checklist. Check. Hey, I'm going to the 7th dimension or what have you. I don't subscribe to that. And I think that also comes from my African spirituality. Because you're not supposed to be doing things because of a floating idea of a paradise. Everything is here now. The consequences, you're going to feel them here now, or your descendants are going to feel the consequences, but the consequences is real. It's not something that you're projecting that's kind of abstract. It's something that's very real, and it's something that morphs and changes as you continue to act and evolve and communicate and do things here. That's why you're here. And for us, from that perspective of African spirituality, we choose to come here. We're not in a prison. We can leave. That's why, you know, I often talk about dreams, because to me, dreams is the proof that I can live here. I'm not stuck on this planet. I can go places. I can see things that are not of this world, that are not of this planet. And that's a whole different video. But it's just to say that I don't subscribe to that. You know, Ascension, I live here when I want to live here, when I'm ready to live here. For now, I like what I'm exploring here. I still have a ton of things that I do want to explore. And I think when you get to be immersed in your past lives and have the memory of them and dig into that, you will just realize how all of that fits in the pieces of the puzzle. How sort of thing that you started long ago, you're continuing them here, you're adding things onto it, and you basically come back to finish certain things, to learn and discover new things. And this is one of the single things that I say to people, that for me, I'm not a comedic person, and I understand people rave in Egypt and ancient Egypt and all of stuff, but I think when you get into your past lives and you get to that time where you were there, if you were there, you know, you get to realize that, okay, done there, been there, done that. You get to that point where you're like, been there, done that, let me take what I can take now to apply and to make sure I know I don't repeat certain things that I've learned already, and move on to something else, build on top of that and get something else. And I think that's the whole foundation for me of African spirituality. You keep building. You're not regressing backwards. Even the simple principle of Sankofa, you're going back only to fetch what was lost and that you need now. It's not to go and take everything, you know. I said this to someone else, was that, you know, if the Bantu, if the Bantu and most black people, most Africans left Egypt, they left it for a reason. They didn't leave it just because they were invaded. You know, they didn't leave it just because it was time to go. It's just like, when you look at history evolved. It doesn't regress back. You don't, I mean, unless you want to be stuck in the loop and just repeat doing everything else, then now people are going to move back to Egypt and do everything that they've already done and that's been done and repeated. I mean, I don't live in that paradigm. I always live into, you use the lesson from the past so you can build up the future and keep going, keep moving, keep advancing. If we're going backwards, then we'll repeat things over and over and over and over again. Yeah, so to me, that's my question, that's my answer, sorry, on Ascension. I don't really make a big deal out of it. I mean, I understand that for some people it is a thing, it is a paradigm. I looked at that path and I'm like, okay, that's a cool path. It's not a path for me. Like I said, I don't subscribe to that. I don't have a checklist of things that I need to do and that will guarantee me to go to some places, whether it is Series B or whatever it is. To me, I chose to come here, and so I'm content being here and doing what I'm doing. Exploring things that are on my path. If I decide to adopt a specific diet, it is because it is nurturing and worthy on my path. I don't do groupthink. That's the other thing also. I don't do groupthink. I use my own type of thinking. And I question things when people bring them to me, because I always said that I kind of look at different systems, different tools. I kind of see the one that interests me and the one that work for me, that enhance my practice, that benefit me, to integrate them. And so in order for me to do that, I do have to question. I do have to ask, you know, you're talking to me about the fifth dimension. Have you been there? Have you gone there? And it may not be, we may have a sense of what it is, but we may have a different perspective of what it is. And Ascension may be taken different forms as well. So I'm not just saying that it doesn't exist, I'm just saying that I'm not on the path of following somebody for the purpose of ascending. The only person I follow is myself. And, you know, I do have a team with me. I do have my, you know, I told you my grandmother, my ancestors are with me. So those are the people that guide me, and they guide me not to point me to a specific direction, but they guide me in terms when I need support, when I need motivation, sometimes when I'm laying down, when I need to know that they're there, what have you. I have them. But in no way, shape, or form are they imposing themselves onto me to do something specific or to have to do it. I always have a choice. And I think that's kind of different from different other African practices, where when you become a priest or a priestess, you don't really start doing what you want. You're actually on a specific path. There are things that you can and there are things that you cannot do. There are things that are required of you, etc., etc., etc. So that's why I'm saying, like, my perspective is really different. It's not better, by no means, but it works for me. So I'm going to stick to that. And if Ascension is a path, the path toward Ascension is a path for you, go for it. Okay? I always say, go for what works for you, for what resonates with you. If that concept resonates better with you, then go with that and start implementing things. So before you say, oh, this is not for me, I don't know. No, you have to implement it for a while in order for you to assess that, no, it is not for you. Because too many people just jump from one thing to the other and just say, you know, I'm eclectic, when they don't even take the time to understand this tool comes from this spiritual path. How is it used in there? What's the history behind that? You have to do a lot of research before you can say, you know, oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, I want to incorporate it in what I'm doing. You have to, there's a minimum of time that you have to spend learning, practicing with that tool in order for you to reject it or accept it. And I think a lot of people don't do that. They just like to jump to different things and then have a superficial idea of what it is, of how it is even used, even in that culture where they're going to take it. So I think it's important to take your time and to assess. And if Ascension and the whole philosophy behind it is something that you're there to, that resonates with you, by all means go and enjoy your path. So thank you for having been with me. Of course, if you need spiritual advice or consultation from 101, all the information will be in the description box. Bye-bye.